Hey, Viking fans, is it going to be Josh Allen or Case Keenum? Let's talk about that next in 3, 2, 1. Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull World, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. Minnesota Sports Talk is now proud to present. We are in partnership with Minnesota Vikings legend Chuck Foreman and ChuckForeman44.com. Use Skull15 at checkout and save 15%. We are giving away a signed Chuck Foreman Spin Doctor Bobblehead live on our show November 22nd and January 13th. All you have to do is be subscribed, like, and comment on any video between now and the drawings. No limit to the amount of entries. A grand prize drawing will be done live on air January 3rd. We'll be giving an autographed Chuck Foreman number 44 jersey away to one lucky winner. For Chuck Foreman upcoming events and rules for our contest, please check out the description of the video below. Now let's skull. All right, let's get started. I always like to go to Will Ragatz from SI.com. He put out an article today. Good article. Let's go through it a little bit by a little bit. Josh Allen or no Josh Allen, Bills' elite defense poses a major challenge for the Vikings. The Bills lead the league in scoring defense, allowing fewer than 15 points per game. That's the headline. So the fact that we got Josh Allen, well, Casey Keenum potentially doing a remake of the Minnesota Miracle with Stephon Diggs. We got storylines with Dalvin Cook's brother being on the Bills. We got Leslie Frazier as the defensive coordinator. All sorts of storylines, but we're going to focus on what Will Ragatz thinks about the Vikings going into the Bills and potentially playing Josh Allen or Casey Keenum. So let's put Josh Allen up there. The big story heading into this weekend's highly anticipated game between the 7-1 Vikings and the 6-2 Bills is the status of Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen, who may or may not be able to play through the elbow injury. If Allen can't play, and that's starting to seem more and more likely, Case Keenum would step in at QB against his former team, and the Bills' offense would become notably less dangerous. That's an unknown situation. Through the Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell said they have to prepare as if Allen will play. One thing is certain, no matter who ends up throwing passes for the Bills, their elite defense, even with injury concerns of its own, will pose a major challenge for O'Connell. First Cousins, and then the Vikings offense on Sunday. 9 weeks into the season, Bills lead the NFL in scoring defense, allowing 14.8 points per game. They have held 3 opponents to 10 points or fewer and haven't allowed more than 20. Despite facing each of the league's top 3 teams in offense, the Chiefs, Dolphins, and Ravens. Buffalo also ranks 4th in total defense, allowing 299.6 yards per game. The advanced metrics are just as impressive. The Bills rank 4th in defensive DVOA. They're the only team in top 6 against the run and the pass, and 5th in defense EPA per play. So obviously all the stats show that the Bills are a good defense. Leslie Frazier has got them going. If you remember, the Tampa 2 defense was kind of played out in Minnesota. He reinvented himself. He goes to Buffalo and he's brought them a awesome defense. The Bills defense, led by head coach Sean McDermott and defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier, is an elite unit with playmakers on all 3 levels. Every piece that you could make mention of, they're doing well. Cousins said, I think it starts with a great scheme. They play very fast. They play hard. I think they play well as a unit. They have the players on all 3 levels of defense. They cover well. They tackle well. They create turnovers well. You can go down the line of attributes you want in a defense, and they're checking those boxes. These Bills have 15 takeaways this season, which is tied for 4th most in the league, and 1 ahead of the Vikings defense. 11 of those have come on interceptions. Only the Eagles, who picked off Cousins 3 times in week 2, have more. Safety Jordan Poyer, a first-team All-Pro last season, leads the way with 4 interceptions. Buffalo's defense doesn't utilize a super complex scheme or a wide range of looks. It actually is a fairly straightforward defense from a schematic standpoint. The Bills are similar to the Vikings in that they use a lot of two deep safety looks and don't blitz much, trusting their front to generate pressure while rushing 4 or 5. Their defense is great because it's coached well and they have talented players who execute their responsibilities at a very high level. That is kind of what the Vikings have been like. Two deep safety, and that's what a lot of the defenses are going with this year. Two deep safety, scoring's down, big plays are down. Cousins and the Vikings are probably one of the least big play teams as they're facing two deep zone all the time, and that's what it looks like we'll see more of that. And what a perfect time to get TJ Hawkinson to try to alleviate that. So look, honestly, they not mentioned yet, but the defense gave up like 200 yards to the Packers on the ground, 170 this last game to the Jets on the ground, and they were without their awesome rookie running back. So that being said, the Buffalo Bills have been a little vulnerable, and you throw in Josh Allen throwing 4 picks in the last 2 games. They're looking a little more vulnerable. They haven't been scoring a whole lot of points themselves. First and foremost, I think they don't try to reinvent the wheel defensively. In that challenge, O'Connell said, a lot of times you can know where they are and what they're doing, but they play really hard and they're really good players. They had great technique, fundamentals, and ball that gets tipped seems like it ends up in their hands. Anytime you're not extremely dialed into the protection responsibilities, anyone on their front can beat you at any time. So it's going to be a challenge to throw it, and when you try to run it, they've got defensive backs that fit the run as well as any team in the league. I just said that that contradicts what I said. They gave up almost 400 yards rushing in the last 2 games. However, the challenge that he's talking about, we're going to face it, obviously. The 2 deep zone, Cousins down the field, all that. They don't disguise things. It sounds just like our defense, the way it's being talked about. So we may have a nice little advantage that other teams have. It seems like that's the way our defense plays, and we play them in practice. So it looks good, man. I feel like it's a pretty good matchup. Whether we win or not, who knows? But hey, they're vulnerable right now. The only thing I worry about is Josh Allen. His demise has been greatly exaggerated, and he's awesome, and he plays. Not that I don't want to see him play, and I want him hurt. It's just like, but he's sat out the last 3 practices. Where he sat out yesterday and today. Did not practice. It doesn't look good, and it is kind of putting him behind the 8 ball a little bit. That hey, he's not going to have any reps this week going into that game, and Casey Keenum's going to start. We'll see. It goes on. It starts up front with the Bills. Even at 33-year-old, Von Miller is still one of the best pass rushers in the league. True. All true. He leads the team with 7 sacks and 29 pressures. Jeez. 2021 first-round pick Greg Rousseau is having a strong season. 5 sacks, 33 pressures. Opposite Miller, and there's depth at defensive end with veteran Shaq Lawson and recent second-rounder A.J. Apencia and Boogie Basham, I don't know how to say it. They go 4 deep on the interior, and Daquan Jones, Jordan Phillips, Ed Oliver, and Tim Settle. The Bills also utilize plenty of stunts in games with their front, which is something the Vikings' interior offensive line has struggled with at times this season, including last week in Washington. Really big time last week in Washington. And it's odd because our defense does the same thing. So I feel like it's like two of the same defenses going at it. They've had more success over the past couple of years. We've just started to have success over the past 3 games. So we'll see whose defense is hotter at the time of the game. Here's a quote. You hear a lot about on offense, things that look the same, that they are different. They can play their coverage schemes from very similar looks. Vikings offensive coordinator Wes Phillips said, they're not a huge pressure team. They're fundamentally sound. They move the front a lot, which is something harder than pressures, picking up the stunts, those types of things. They're really just between Coach McDermott and Coach Frazier. Just a lot of respect for those guys. Wherever they've been, it's always been a challenge playing against their defense. It continues to go on. Might as well read it all. On the second level, the Bills have two excellent linebackers on Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. Poyer leads the way on the back end, and it's possible two-time All-Pro cornerback Tre'Davious White will make his season debut this weekend. Dane Jackson, Christian Benford, rookie first-rounder Kyer Elam, and Nickel Tyron Johnson round out the cornerback group. Two-time All-Pro safety Micah Hyde is out for the year, but 2021 sixth-round pick Dahmer Hamlin has filled in nicely. So basically, their talent will all over the place. Draft pedigree isn't everything. Poyer, Hyde, Milano are former late-round picks, but the defensive boasts a whopping 6 former first-rounders in Elam, Rousseau, Oliver, Edmonds, White, and Lawson. The Bills' front office has invested a ton of draft capital into the defense, and it has paid off. It's a dominant unit that complements Buffalo's similar elite offense, which is why the team among the favorites to win the Super Bowl. So I feel like this has been the same game plan of us. Our offense's talent is good. Bills' offensive talent is good. We're struggling a little bit. They've been struggling a little bit offensively. But both teams' defense is playing good, especially as of late for us. We're not giving it much yards on the ground. I feel like we maybe have an opportunity there. Now, both of our teams cause turnovers, and that's where the game seems like it'll be won. Their offense struggling a little bit, throwing interceptions. Our offense struggling a little bit, not getting the ball down the field. Two defenses playing well. Who is going to do the most turnovers? That's where I see it. The Bills' run defense has been good for most of the season, but it slipped in the recent weeks. They gave up 174 rushing to a surprising loss to the Jets last week, and allowed the Packers to have 208 yards the week prior. That suggests the Vikings might be able to get Dalvin Cook going in the game. However, before their Week 7 bye, the Bills had allowed over 100 yards rushing just once against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. The primary concern with the Bills on both sides of the ball is health. Offensively, they need Allen to get healthy. Defensively, they have a ton of players who are banged up right now. Poyer and Milano missed the Jets game, and Rousseau injured his ankle during the game. White still hasn't played all year, recovering from an ACL injury. Milano should return against the Vikings, but Poyer, Rousseau, Edmond, and Elam all missed Thursday's practice during the availability of Sunday for Sunday into question. Putting their availability for Sunday into question. So Poyer, Rousseau, Edmonds, and Elam all missed Thursday practice. Still, even if the Bills are missing a few practices, their defense is going to be tough to play against. They have star power, they have depth, and they have great coaching. It's going to be an awfully big challenge for the Vikings offense, and we should learn a lot from the specific matchup when the Vikings have the ball. I'm pretty excited about it. Star power, both sides of the ball, honestly. We got star power, they got star power. Good coaching. Our coaches have been around a while. Our defense is starting to gel with the new defense. It's looking good. We're disguising coverages now. We're disguising blitzes. We both rarely blitz, and we stun a lot. So both teams do that. It's amazing. It's gonna be a good matchup. Here's a quote: "You really have to have a tight plan, a tight scheme offensively," O'Connell said, "and then you have to throw in the noise and the challenge of that environment, possibly some weather, and you've got a heck of a road challenge." So it could happen, man. Like, let's say weather is a factor. I would be hard pressed to say the Vikings would win that game on the road. If it's a nice day, everything's fine, no wind, I think the Vikings could have a pretty good chance. Nobody expects us to win this game. Nobody expects us to win this game, and they even doubted even if Josh Allen was out of this. So the fact, who would you rather see? And there's a lot of Vikings saying, "I want to see Josh Allen. I don't want any excuses. I don't want to get in on us." And then the other side of it, hey, a win is a win, and we want home field advantage. And what a better, easier way to stack wins than against another backup quarterback. Another point out there is that we've Teddy Bridgewater, and then we played our Taylor Heineke, and now we're gonna possibly play Case Keenum, all former Viking quarterbacks. So hey, the Minnesota Vikings, either way, I don't care. I just want to win. It would be nice, a feather in our cap, to beat a Josh Allen, but are we gonna, that's just another thing. Josh Allen's hurt. Just another excuse to bash the Vikings for not playing anybody, tough. We caught the Buffalo at a good time. There'll be all sorts of different narratives. Someone's gonna say it, but hey, the Vikings come into Buffalo, they win it, and they throw even more chains on Kirko Ice as he's coming back from Buffalo. The defense, I think, and our running game are the big difference in this game. If they both can play well, now throw in the offensive line too. But hey, the defense outside looking in, 30,000 feet. I'm looking at, hey, our defense needs to play up to its capability, which we've shown in the past 3 weeks. And as long as we can run the ball against these guys like the past two teams did, I think we'll have a great opportunity to throw it down the field, and especially to Justin Jefferson and TJ Hockenson. And I think I'm going to lean on TJ Hockenson quite a bit, just like we did this last game. If we didn't pick him up, we don't win that game against Washington. I highly doubt it. So let's go. Skull Vikings. That was Will Ragatz, SI.com. Follow that guy. Read his stuff. It's awesome. I think there's no one better in the business than Will Ragatz. Skull Vikings. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. That will enter my contest, and we're giving away November 22nd a Spin Doctor bobblehead, Chuck Foreman doll, number 44. And we have a grand prize January 3rd. We're giving 2 of those away, one on the 22nd, and then we're giving a autographed jersey January 3rd. And I got more things happening, and I got live shows coming up. We're going to do a Wednesday show next week with GG Sports. I already got a guest for that one. I got a guest for Skull World next week. That happens on Tuesday on the Purple Code and on my show. And then on Tuesday, also, we got Chuck Foreman